episode of the TRA Performance Education Podcast with me, your Tiny Titan host, as always, Vicky Mirceta. Today, in the hot seat of the TRA podcast, I have got someone from way across the other side who decided to really rub it in my face that he sat by a beach whilst I am sat here in sunny old Crewe. But I will say sunny old Crewe today because it is nice and sunny and hot. However, not as hot as on the beach in LA. Morning, Yas. How are you, matey?
I'm very good, thank you. And thanks for the intro.
Well, I didn't really intro you that well. So I'm going to hand it over to you to actually tell our listeners who you are, what your background is, and what we're going to learn from you today.
Okay, my name's Yas. I'm from Manchester. I've been in LA. Actually been in the US now 11 years. I've been in Long Beach, which is the part of LA where I am. But I mean, if you actually hear them, people get pissed off if you say Long Beach is in LA, but because it's like a separate city. But I've been here 6 years. Background is strength and conditioning, and I've got to the point now where even though I like to train anybody who can train, I've got to the point now where I'm specializing more in fighters than anybody else. And today we're going to talk about performance training for fighters. Fantastic.
And is it any particular fighters in particular, or have you got things like MMA or boxing or jiu-jitsu?
Anybody, to be honest. I mean, my background is a long time ago now, so if I did it, I would be terrible. But my background was Thai boxing, so Muay Thai. My wife, she's a boxer, so that plays a big part in my life. I currently train people in jiu-jitsu, MMA. I'm not really working with anybody at the moment. I give advice out to people regular now, but I was working with somebody who's high-level MMA just before Christmas, but they're now at the UFC Performance Institute, so I'm not with them now.
Right, fantastic. Okay, well, I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it, that you've got a big diverse amount of people in the fighting industry, because a lot of people who just kind of say, well, I deal with fighters, they just automatically think of boxing and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a lot more to different fighters there, so that's the reason why I wanted to know the question. So in terms of, we're actually going to be talking about conditioning for fighters, aren't we? And that's the difference. So because a lot of people just kind of think, right, well, we're going to be doing sparring and, you know, maybe kind of like false matches and that kind of thing for boxers. But we want to look at actual conditioning aspects within their training program. So I take it that you actually design your fighters programming. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's what I do. A lot of the people I work with are actually online. So it's mainly the programming that I do, you know.
Right, perfect. Okay, so let's have a look at how you would actually design somebody's training, but more so concentrating on the conditioning aspect of a fighter's program. Now, how do you actually put that into play without running the risk of interfering with their actual training?
Right. So as far as aerobic conditioning goes, I like to do that or have them do that well before I'm doing the programming for improvements in strength, speed, you know, overall power, because I don't want the aerobic stuff to interfere with what I'm trying to do in the way of making them more explosive and be able to generate more force, you know.
Okay.
So I have them do the aerobic stuff in advance, providing the problem a lot of the time is fighters, especially boxers, Thai boxers, they've done, if anything, too much aerobic stuff. So so for those people, they can test their aerobic conditioning, but generally their aerobic conditioning is already good, and it's not really like I need to add anything to it. But
okay.
there are tests that I advise to do, like how long it takes them to run a mile at a certain heart rate. And if they was to run 4 miles, I want the gap between the time on the first mile compared to the fourth to be really small.
Okay.
You know, because obviously the less aerobic conditioning you have, then the more fatigue plays a part, and the gap between the first and fourth mile is quite big time-wise, you know. So yeah, I like that gap to be really small. And see, the thing is with the aerobic stuff is if they start doing the specific conditioning, trying to keep the heart rate at a certain level for the runs, they can only go so fast because their aerobic conditioning is not up to scratch. So the more aerobic conditioned they become, the more work they can do at that low heart rate. So they can run a mile faster, they can do the 4 miles faster, you know. So at first, it's like, because everyone's used to doing everything fast, at first it might take them an hour to run 4 miles, which is obviously ridiculous. That's like 15 minutes a mile.
Yeah, that's not me.
The more they do it, then the faster they can get it done. And then I move on to more serious conditioning that won't affect power, you know, like interval training, sprints, even modified strongman training, stuff that's gonna condition the nervous system, muscular system, the CV system, but not take away muscle. So it's muscle sparing, unless, because I have quite a lot of fighters as well who actually want to lose muscle. They need to get lighter. So even if they're ripped, there'll still be a certain weight. So say I was working with a Scottish pro Thai boxer recently, and he'd always been fighting at 65 kg. And obviously when he's weighing in, he's already water depleted, he's lean. But then he started working with me and he said he wants to fight at 55. So that's a
big weight drop.
Yeah, massive, especially for someone that size, you know. It's not like it's someone who weighs 250 pounds and then they want to drop that much. It's actually a massive percentage of their body weight.
Yeah, body mass at the end of the day, because they're going from light. Was that a lightweight to like a featherweight?
I'm not sure of the weight classes in Thai boxing.
Oh, sorry, it was Thai boxing. My apology. See, it's the assumption of boxing. My apology. But yeah, so he's basically going from a lightweight to a lighter weight, instead of going, you said, from a heavyweight to a lightweight, which would be easier.
Yeah. So he was, like I say, he was already lean, manipulated water and all that when he was weighing in at 65. So what the goal was to get him stronger and faster, but also make his muscles smaller, you know? So it was all about heavy reps, low reps, and also explosive stuff with low reps. So there's no hypertrophy at all. So the time under tension and the percentage of 1RM was so high and the time under tension was so low that his muscles couldn't even maintain the size that they had. So they was forced to get smaller as well as getting stronger.
So did you do that whilst maintaining him in a nutritional deficit as well?
No, to be honest, I just left the nutrition stuff to him, because I knew that he knew what he's doing, because he's made weight so many times at the heavier weight. And I mean, he had everything organized good. He was taking care of the nutrition. He was taking care of like the regeneration stuff. And also he even had a IV lined up for after he'd made weight. So
good God,
people like that are easy to work with, you know, so long as they do exactly everything that I say, like program wise. But also I always ask that people, as soon as I give them a new program, I ask that they film everything, so I can do technique analysis straight away, and then they're not spending weeks doing something. I mean, there might be an experienced trainer and something that they do is not wrong. It's just not the exact way that I would like it to be done. Okay. So he's one of those people that does everything exactly how I want and puts 100% effort in, and he gets the results. I mean, I have had plenty of people, and these are pro fighters as well and coaches, who they don't do what I ask them, so they don't really get the results. Because I mean, it's like anything else: the more you put in, the more you get out of it, you know.
Yeah. So what do you find the biggest thing about non-adherence? What is it that they're not doing that you want them to do?
I think a lot of it tends to be more experienced people, and they overestimate how much time they have to train a lot of the time. So if it's a pro boxer or even MMA, they earn enough to not have to work, and they can just focus fully on eating, training, sleeping, recovery.
Sure.
But a lot of people, unless they're earning that kind of money, they have to work as well. So it's fitting it for them. It's fitting in their job, their recovery, their family, and then they also and then they have to train for the sport, because it doesn't really matter where you are in regards to strength and conditioning. Your technical training still always has to be the priority, you know. So a lot of them, they have to train every day doing that stuff as well, and then they tell me, oh, I can train 4 times a week on a strength and conditioning program, and I'm always like, are you sure? But they always think they can, and then they end up only being able to make 2 or 3 times a week. But see, the problem then is that how I've written the program is suited to 4 times a week. If you told me you could train 3 times a week, it would be a lot different to 4 times a week. If you told me you could train twice, it would be different again. You know, so I have to try and get them to be 100% honest. And like I say, it's usually the more advanced people that it's not being dishonest. It's just overestimating how much they can fit in.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I get you. So if you were to do like say we do a 4-day-a-week program.
Okay.
Where would you put that kind of conditioning in? And I'd like to have 2 kind of viewpoints. One for an off-season athlete who's obviously building up their strength and their power and everything, and then one that's leading up to a fight. So let's take the off-season programming first. What would you kind of prioritize? Where would you put in the conditioning? And what kind of strength and conditioning program would you put together?
Okay, so someone off season, I can either do a full day of conditioning type stuff, or stick bits in at the end, you know, that I think won't undo what they've done in the rest of the session.
Okay, so let's talk about that option, because that I think is a lot of the things that people get wrong, not just in fighting aspects, but actually in a lot of things. So if people like bodybuilders, powerlifters, fighters, rowers, maybe even squash players, they do a lot of their training, but then they'll go and do some kind of hardcore, high intensity interval training almost immediately afterwards, and then they undo what they did in the actual session. So let's talk about that. How would you actually manipulate that so they don't undo the hard kind of technique style that you've put them in?
Okay, I would do so obviously modified strongman training is a big thing for me. I mean, because you don't lose strength. Most of it is there's no eccentric loading, so it doesn't make you sore. And also for a fighter, it's good because it strengthens stuff. Even like, say, something like farmers walks, the training areas that you don't tend to use so much unless you're specifically training that area, you know. So they train the neck, the grip, the abs, whereas normally you have to train a lot of that stuff separately. Whereas modified strongman movement or exercise such as farmers walks does hit all that, as well as training relative strength, muscular endurance, and also the CB system. So if you have someone doing that stuff, even if they're a top level athlete and they're strong and lean, they're still going to get a really good cardio workout, you know. So I like that kind of stuff. I like stuff like short sprints on a woodway curve.
Yeah.
Stuff like battle ropes. I mean, I wouldn't give someone battle ropes as a main part of their workout, but as far as conditioning goes, it's massive. But I'm not a big fan. You know, when you see people do this little thing like they're playing drums with it, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of that. If I have someone doing battle ropes, I always advise them to do it as big and as fast as you can, so it's a full body thing, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Get into a squat, high above your head, low below your knees. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, you do that properly, even if you're strong and fit, 30 seconds and you need a rest. Yeah. Big time.
So what's the benefit of that to an actual fighter then? Because from I'm obviously going to do this from just like a general population type of view. what is the benefit of doing heavy battle ropes for a fighter? Because if they've just kind of done a big sparring match, well, I'll take it, it's not going to be a sparring match that you do conditioning straight afterwards, but what's the benefits to their shoulder health? Because obviously they're going to be powering through their shoulder. And now you're going to be putting their shoulders above their heads and below their knees in a huge range of motion. So what's the benefit for that?
So for me, it's not putting the shoulder joint in any danger, because if you're putting 100% effort in, 100% after you've done a load of other stuff is not the same as 100% after you've not done anything else, you know? So
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of self-limiting. Have you ever used anything like any iso-inertial equipment, like, you know, like a K-box or VersaPulley?
Oh, VersaPulleys, yes.
Yeah, so you know what that's like. An old person can put 100% effort in and get a lot out of it, and a best athlete in the world can put 100% effort in, and they're both putting 100% in, but the resistance is totally different, you know? Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing with the ropes. Is them putting all their effort in is still keeps them at a level where everything's safe, because it's not 100% same as it would have been if I just said get on there and they're fresh and they put 100% effort in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. So that, I think that brings it back to the first question then, I suppose. Why would you, or where would you program that particular conditioning thing then? Because if you're putting conditioning in for maybe weight loss, when they're in that stage of weight loss, and you want them to get the maximum effect out of that, if somebody told me to go and do some battle ropes and some medicine ball slams and some farmer's carries, for example, after I've just done a heavy leg day, there's not a chance that I'd be able to put in 100% effort onto it without it having some kind of interference effect. And the same if I did it before a heavy leg day, because that's just going to take out all of my energy, or a lot of my energy, unless I'm properly fueled to go into my leg session later on. So how do you program that kind of level of intensity so it doesn't have what's known as then, you know, the interference effect?
Right. So we was talking about someone who says, you said I trains 4 days a week. So normal person I would have doing 4 days a week, I would tend to do an upper lower split, so 2 of each.
Yeah.
But say if somebody trains with me 3 days a week, then for that person, I'm probably going to have a full session of conditioning work, unless I feel that the amount of technical stuff that they're doing. So if they're a fighter, the amount of sparring and hitting bags and pads and all that is enough conditioning, then I will do something. They won't even have a conditioning day then.
No.
So say if I feel, so the UFC girl that I was working with, she was training 4 days a week, upper lower split, and we wasn't doing conditioning, but she did have some fat to lose, you know, even though she wasn't fat, she did have some fat to lose. But then when she couldn't fit it in, because at the time she was just the goal was to get the UFC contract, so she couldn't fit 4 in, so she was having to work, I don't know, quite a few hours a day, do all the technical training. So then what we did, we dropped the training down to 3 times a week. So then the way I worked that then was, she had first day was relative strength training. So it was all like heavy squats, heavy chin-ups, heavy biochromial bench, stuff like that. The second day was, which would be, so let's say we say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The second day was a conditioning day. And then the third day was all power stuff. So the third day was all like high pulls, cleans, box jumps, all that. But so it was the middle day. So day number 2, where she did a lot of stuff, lot like modified strongman stuff, even some normal gym exercises, but high reps and faster. Might have been doing like, I don't know, a tempo of 2010, but it'd be like 25 reps. So so for someone less than 4 days a week, then, and if they need the conditioning side of things, then I will do it as a full conditioning day. But I mean, I am currently, one of my clients at the moment is a world champion jiu-jitsu guy, and he's on 3 days a week, but I don't do conditioning with him because he's in good condition. He's lean. He trains jiu-jitsu every day. So you can get, if you do your sport every day, you have good conditioning, you know.
For
So
sure.
with him, he does first day relative strength, second day functional strength, stroke hypertrophy, and then the third day he does all the power stuff.
Right. Okay.
So,
That's
oh yeah, sorry. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off. It all depends on the individual and exactly how much conditioning they need, because a lot of people don't really need any in terms of strength and conditioning.
And I suppose if we take it down to the individual, that is exactly what it is, isn't it? Because personal training is called personal training for a specific reason, because it has to be designed personally for them.
Right.
Regardless of whether it's face-to-face or whether it's online. So I suppose another thing would be that, what about one of your heavy set fighters who's in the heavier classes? What would be the benefit of strength and conditioning for a fighter? Because again, we're talking about sparring, and because I take it you're not actually their fighting coach, you're their strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah. I don't try and have an influence on any kind of technical stuff because it's not my area, you know. Even though I've got a background in fighting, I'd be like, I don't know, like just one of these people in I don't know, Fitness First or something, telling somebody how to do an exercise. So it's not really my area, so I don't interfere at all.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you obviously said that, because that should be blanketed across this industry, isn't it? If you don't know what you're doing, then just don't try and guess at it at the end of the day. And stick to what you're good at.
Yeah, I see it all the time. And I saw somebody, a pro fighter who's on my Facebook, talking about it yesterday, posting about it. Because you get a lot of technical trainers who try and do strength and conditioning because they think it's easy because you just have to lift weights. But you also get the other side of things. You get coaches like strength coaches and personal trainers who try and teach technical stuff, hold pads and mitts for fighters. And that's really bad as well, because everything that they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. And yeah, like you said, people need to stick to their area. Absolutely.
For safety, as well as, you know, just yeah, for safety, I would say, but it's one of the biggest things, because well, yeah, we'll leave it at that. But anyway, okay, so let's have a look at one of your heavy set fighters then. They obviously, muscle is strong, and they obviously want to have a lot of strength in order to create that power, in order to win and to overcome their opponent. So would you actually go out of your way to make them gain muscle to improve their strength? Or is that going to be detrimental to the way that they move? And is it going to be too harsh on their tendons, their ligaments, their joints by being too heavy by a means of muscle hypertrophy?
Right. I'm not really a big fan of standard, you know, non-functional hypertrophy for a fighter. Yeah. Unless somebody wants to move up weight classes, but then in that case, it still needs to be combined with stuff that's going to make them a lot stronger, but also stuff that increases rate of force development, you know? Because I want them to be strong and explosive. But if you have to put muscle on them, and that's one of the main things that you have to do with them because they're too light, then you can't afford to only train them like that, because they are going to be slower. They are going to be it could even alter technique, you know? So that's not something that, sorry, I'm just closing some stuff down that's popped up on my screen. Yeah, so that kind of person, there's no way that I'm only going to be doing hypertrophy training with them. If possible, I would do functional stuff, so say 6 to 8 reps where they get in 50% nervous system training and 50% muscular system. So they do grow a little bit, but it is more functional and they can still function, but they are getting stronger at the same time. So I would much rather do that than just straightforward hypertrophy training, because what was it I read? I think it was by, who was it by? I think it was Verkhoshansky. He said, someone who trains like a bodybuilder has 10% less fast twitch fibers than somebody who's never even trained. you know. So I'm sure that's what it says in. I'm sure that's what it says in one of his books. I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure. And yeah, so the last thing I want to do is make somebody slower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even if I make someone strong, making someone strong always improves everything because you're working at a low percentage of your maximum. But if you only train to make somebody strong, as far as a fighter goes, then it's still not going to benefit them that much because they probably will never have the time to display that strength.
Okay.
So I like a foundation of strength, but then also train the person with lighter weights, moving the bar or whatever they're using faster to then train the body to display strength faster. Because I mean,
right. If
they don't ever have time, so if you can produce a massive amount of force, but you don't ever have time to display it, then you might as well not have it.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's interesting. That's yeah, it's a good point. Well made, actually. Very good. Okay, well, we're just coming up on time here, yeah. So, is there anything that you'd like to leave the listeners with today, just maybe as a one of your tidbits of knowledge about strength and conditioning?
I would say, if you're a fighter or a trainer and you're looking for a strength and conditioning coach, it's much better, 1,000 times better, to get somebody who is actually a real strength coach, even if they've never trained a fighter, than it is to get a personal trainer who might have a load of big names on the CV just because they've been in the right place at the right time, you know? So someone who has the proper education to make any athlete stronger and faster, even if they have no experience with a fighter, I would pick that person all day, every day over somebody who's a personal trainer but has trained a decent amount of fighters.
Good one. So research your coach and get the coach who's dependent on you. Excellent. I like it. Brilliant. Yes. Well, so just finally then, where can the listeners find you and contact you if they are looking for a strength and conditioning coach for fighting? Excellent.
Well, I'm on most social media platforms, and it's always just as my name, you know. I don't have any fancy, like, anything made up. It's always just Yas Parr. And also I have a website, coachyasparr.com, and also I have a new book out, Strength and Conditioning for Combat Sports, which is actually just came out. So
brilliant. Excellent. So what I'll do is after the podcast is all finalized, I will get all of the links and put them on the YouTube comment box down here, guys. So that's it from us today, guys. So if you have any questions for myself, for the Ugly Buggers and TRA, that's Paul and Lee, nobody else, or Yas himself, then please again put them in the comment section and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. But yes, thank you very much for giving up your time today, and I'm sure that we'll catch up very soon.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.